It doesn't feel like that long ago that POCO put out their F7 lineup, but here we are with another look into what the brand this time calls Ultra Power Ascended. There was already plenty to like about the previous Ultra device, one that provided just the right amount of performance and lasting power that befitted a long travel day across the Pacific. And here I am again, taking their latest phone to Asia. While outfitting a phone like this with all of the distractions needed for an over 20-hour travel day is normal for me, there are a few new things in my phone setup list that this new Ultra from POCO is just right for. So let's load up some Steam games, yep, you heard that right, onto this Snapdragon 8 Elite Gen 5 toting smartphone. One that brings the style with the power. Hey, it's Joshua Vergara. What's going on, everybody? This right here is the POCO F8 Ultra. I've been using the POCO F8 Ultra quite a bit over the last week or so, mainly putting the processing package through a lot of tests to see if some of my current Steam gaming obsessions would actually run on it. After all, playing something like Dave the Diver on a plane all the way to the other side of the Pacific sounded like a great time. Said trip is actually because of POCO, who just now have announced the F8 Ultra and the F8 Pro here in Bali, marking it as my first time here. Now, most of my thoughts are going to be about the performance and the general experience of using this leading up to the trip, and then we're going to use Bali as a backdrop to show off the cameras here, the updated cameras, which include a triple 50 megapixel setup here. Also, thank you POCO for having me on this trip. But we can't talk about the cameras without at least acknowledging what is around it, literally, as POCO went in on some proper stylings with the F8 Ultra. It's really a shame that for most of my time with the phone, especially abroad on this trip, I've been using a crossbody strap that requires use of the included gray case, which covers up the good looks of this new phone, since the blue denim variant is undoubtedly the star of the entire lineup. I'm not even the biggest fan of the color blue personally, but I do like denim, and it provides the phone with a very pleasant feel and plenty of grip. 2 out of 3 honestly ain't bad, and I'll call that a victory for POCO. Style here doesn't come without durability though. Despite the well-known notion that you shouldn't wash your denim, this phone can take it, as POCO have outfitted it with a IP68 water and dust resistance rating. I'd really hate to see what a stain on the backing of this phone would actually look like. And also, as a final point, I know this is not actual denim. This is what POCO calls their 3rd generation nanotech material. So yeah, it doesn't really slide off the tongue the same as the word denim, but it still gets the point across, right? Around the device, there actually isn't a ton of extra bits to talk about. While there are other phones that are putting their versions of camera controls and quick buttons all over the place, POCO lets the core experience of the phone do the talking for them. And that includes one of the loudest and best sounding speaker sets I've probably ever used on a smartphone. As you can see here, POCO's brand collaboration for this phone is Bose, who helped tune both the F8 Ultra and the F8 Pro with dual symmetric speakers, while the Ultra here, and I was just showing it to you actually, has the benefit of an added subwoofer. The result is basically a 2.1 sound experience on a smartphone with noticeable low frequency response that I always find lacking in almost any other device, not just smartphones. We're talking better sound coming out of the 150 Hz frequency range, which is just about where you get the warm tones in most spoken word content, and the right bass response in bumping music. It may not always seem like the biggest deal to have really great speakers on a smartphone, but then think about situations where you don't have a speaker on hand and you want to jam out to some tunes while you're just doing whatever, like for example, in a hotel room. It's at that point that you end up really appreciating the fact that you get good sound out of your smartphone, and some of the best is coming out of the F8 Ultra. Better yet, imagine slapping a controller on the F8 Ultra and playing something with great sound design and a dope soundtrack, like the game Dispatch. Because that's exactly what I've been doing with the phone lately, thanks to apps I just recently discovered, GameHub and GameNative. Now, GameHub is the one that I'm using the most to download my Steam games and really test the mettle of the Snapdragon 8 Elite Gen 5 in this phone. As with any smartphone trying to port full PC games, the results do vary, but I've been able to enjoy current indie titles like Dave the Diver, Dispatch, Hades 1, while revisiting more robust classics like Metal Gear Solid 5. It just blows my mind that this experience is something I can do at all, which makes the POCO F8 Ultra's arrival quite fortuitous. With Qualcomm's latest and greatest chip powering this phone, I figured why the hell not, and the results have been enjoyable. Sure, that's a bit of a niche case for the POCO F8 Ultra here, but by telling you about that experience, it should tell you that pretty much anything else that you might want to do on this phone is just going to fly and work really well. In keeping with the gaming talk though, there are new titles like WWE 2K25 Netflix Edition, Hitman Absolution, and the upcoming port of Red Dead Redemption 1. These are leveling up the games library that is found in the Google Play Store. So yes, the phone came at just the right time for me, and that means it might just be in time for a lot of you who want POCO's claimed ultra power for your own daily work and play, not even as intense as what I'm talking about right now with the gaming. And it's all coming through POCO's first so-called Hyper RGB display, which is a great AMOLED viewing experience that can top out at 3500 nits peak brightness and 120 Hz refresh rate. Xiaomi's HyperOS tries in multiple ways to enhance that experience via system optimizations in the background and more forward-facing features like AI-generated wallpapers, writing, transcriptions, and translations, all the AI stuff that you'd expect to hear about in releases like this. HyperOS is perfectly fine as a general UX, although I really wish that Xiaomi and POCO, that HyperOS, would just let us use full-screen gestures and third-party launchers together for once. I'll give them a little bit of credit back for having the built-in feature of per-app volume control, which makes my downloaded YouTube videos a great background track while I try to figure out the best way to beat level 2 of Hitman Blood Money during my flight. Which is where I continue to be impressed by the performance, or rather how long the POCO F8 Ultra was able to perform. You see, leading up to the actual trip, the actual flights coming here to Bali, I was using the phone just as my general everyday, as I have been for the past week, which meant that when I started the long-haul flight, something like 15 hours just to get some of the way to Bali, it's a long way from LA, I did start that long-haul flight with less than 100% battery. Even so, with downloaded Smosh videos in the background while playing Hitman in the foreground, I was going for hours before knocking out for most of the flight. I was just impressed to wake up and see that there was still at least 25% battery life left. And while I'd be topping up that large 6500 mAh battery pack up before the last legs of the trip, I felt good knowing that once I do that with the either 100 watt wired or 50 watt wireless charging that the F8 Ultra is capable of, way more than just one day of usage could be possible as long as I'm not doubling up on power user scenarios like gaming and constant camera usage. Which finally brings me to the cameras, which I waited until now to really test out and enjoy, since me and my girlfriend's first time in Bali meant memories meant to be captured. The good news is that POCO really wanted to enhance every little part of their latest phone, and the camera system is included. What we get here is a triple 50 megapixel setup that is headlined by the Xiaomi engineered Light Fusion 950 in the main camera. You probably know the drill by now with most smartphones. The main sensor is the one that you want to use the most for both photos and videos. It tends to have the biggest sensor that lends itself to good shallow depth of field, and the focal length is good for most multi-purpose scenarios. But here's where we get another nice aha moment with the POCO F8 Ultra, the telephoto camera. This 5x optical zoom proved really useful during the places we went to here in Bali, including the rather infamous Uluwatu Temple, and its many monkeys that are just waiting to snatch up anything they can get their hands on. Maybe the strap really was a good idea, even if it covered up the denim looks. Anyway, the results with the zooms have been quite impressive, including with the portrait mode, since the background compression really makes the subjects pop. And it was important to keep at least some distance away from the monkeys, so 5x optical zoom was very useful. Now, it isn't lost on me that a particularly sunny day in Bali would be the perfect condition for all of the photos and videos to turn out very well, but good memories captured are still good memories captured. And that includes the ultra-wide and the front-facing camera, which aren't exceptional, let's say, but they are still important supporting shooters. They do a good enough job for those scenarios when you do need them. Low light shots aren't too shabby either, with the expected longer exposure simply being applied when needed. I didn't even really dive into the pro modes or the extras on here, things like the pro video mode that includes log recording if you need it, but honestly, if there's an EV slider in the main camera, that's usually enough for me to dial things down just a bit to like -0.7 and just happily shoot away. What strikes me most about the POCO F8 Ultra is just how much the brand is really trying to step up to that more premium segment, to really step up to the other Ultras that are out there. Now, in the past, POCO did try to kind of prioritize affordability by using the previous generation Snapdragon chipset, or any processor, let's put it that way. But this time, they are using the latest Snapdragon 8 Elite Gen 5, which puts this phone right in line with any other device that might be called Ultra. And as I've already talked about a lot in this video, I've just been enjoying it to its fullest possible extent with the way that Android gaming and porting and emulation has been growing recently. Couple all of that with a much bigger and longer lasting battery, incredible sound for when I don't need to reach for a pair of headphones, which is more often than you might think, and a camera that backs it all up in an effective fashion, and you have a phone that is actually backing up its claims. Now, I don't have the specific pricing information for the F8 Ultra, but the event is happening like right now as of publishing this video, so you probably know the price of the phone at this point as you're watching this. Let me know your thoughts about what the actual price is in the comments down below. Okay, psych. I did finally get the pricing information just in the middle of my edit. I'm finishing it up right now, but I wanted to make sure I shared it with all of you. The price of the 16GB RAM and 512 gigabyte storage model, the higher tier one of the POCO F8 Ultra, comes in at $799. That's US dollars, and it also has a early bird price of $729. I think no matter which way you split it, when you talk about an Ultra smartphone, this is still undercutting a lot of the other top tier smartphones from other brands. And I think that because POCO is just really focusing on the essentials, not even just the essentials, because there are some extras on here. There may not be as much as some other Ultra phones, but that's okay because the whole tagline and motto of POCO is everything you need and nothing you don't. I do feel that coming through here, especially since they focused on everything that you do need. A much bigger battery, a better camera, one that is actually pretty decent and can work for a scenario like what I'm here for. A little bit of a mini vacation slash workcation of some sort, where I'm trying to capture memories with my girlfriend for the first time here in Bali, for our first time here in Bali. I think that there's plenty here to offer, and at $799, that's still a pretty good price, even if you might be used to the lower prices of previous POCO smartphones. That's the thing though, this is going up to the premium segment. And I think that for the package that you get here, POCO is indeed managing to stick to their motto of everything you need, nothing you don't. And the result now is a phone that hits all the right marks and is definitely worth your consideration. Again, let me know your thoughts about the POCO F8 Ultra in the comments down below, from the price to the various upgrades to just the phone at large. Let me know about all of that in the comments down below. Make sure you like this video and also subscribe if you haven't already. A big thanks to POCO for having me on the trip and for outfitting me with a phone that did come at just the right time, especially since I'm diving more into all of that gaming like I was talking about earlier. Man, Dave the Diver on this was just super fun. But anyway, before this video gets way too long, and I didn't have my teleprompter, so I had to kind of do some of it off the cuff, I'm gonna go ahead and call it on this one. Thank you so much for kicking it with me again today. Please take care of yourselves and each other, and enjoy your tea, everybody.